Friday, November 24th, and it's time for my 2 cents. Uh, Today I want to talk about government and the size of government in particular. It's gotten way, way, way too big. With big government comes big corruption, and we see it every day. It gets worse and worse and worse. Uh, Along with these all these sexual allegations now in Congress, it's came out now that there's a secret uh, fund they call the Shush Fund or whatever they want to call it. Anyway, gist of it is taxpayer money has been going to pay off sexual harassment claims and so forth of congressmen. So your and mine tax dollars pay for these guys to get out of their trouble, uh, with interns and whatnot, or whoever it is they're sexually harassing or sexually making advances on or whatever. And, that's just another instance of absolute collusion or corruption within the United States government. Folks, government's gotten so big that this stuff can't be policed. I mean, it's so big that anybody you talk to doesn't know a thing about it. And, most of these folks, I believe, they didn't know it existed. And apparently it's existed for a very long time. It's 17 million. I got the numbers here. It was like $17 million since 1995 or 96 or somewhere along those lines. $17 million has been paid out of this fund for, payouts for this secret shush fund. Now, the whole thing is set up to pay these people and keep them quiet. They got to, first of all, they got to, they make a claim or they accuse somebody. Well, first of all, the victim, not the alleged perpetrator, but the victim has to go to counseling for 30 days. And then after the counseling, they go through a mediation process, which can last up to 30 days. And then after the mediation, they may or may not get an administrative hearing. And then they may move on to a lawsuit. Now, what is that all? Why is all those steps in place for? It's in place to convince them to take the money and shut up. That's what it is. That's why they're pressuring these interns to take the money, your tax money, and not say a word. Now, they haven't released the names of these congressmen that have paid out. I guess only one name is actually, well, I don't even know if it came out of that fund. It came out of his own office budget. This Conyer guy, a congressman from, I'm not even sure where he's from, but apparently he paid off one of his interns or one of his colleagues, workers, whatever, somebody in his office. He sexually harassed. This guy's obviously some sort of a freak. 80-something years old, okay? 80-something years old. So he's been doing it a long time. But he paid somebody off $27,000 out of his office budget, taxpayer money, to make this woman go away. Now, how many times has he done this, I wonder? How many congressmen? I want names. I want names. I want the names of these congressmen. I want to know who they are. The American people need to know who it is. We need to know who these congressmen are so they can be voted out, so they can be moved out. We got a problem in this country of voting people back in over and over and over. We've got so many senators and congressmen. They're in their 80s. They've been around. This particular guy, this Conyer guy or whatever his name is, he's been around 53 years. He's been in Congress 53 years since 1964. Okay? It's 1964. Think about that. 53 years he's been a congressman. Okay? He gets elected every 2 years, over and over and over. 26 terms this guy's been reelected. That's a part of the it's systematic part of the culture. I mean, people they see the same name, they vote the same way. Government's gotten so huge, we don't even know who's running half the time. You just see a name you recognize, and I think a lot of people they vote that name. They don't even know what the guy stands for. They just know that's the guy we always vote for, so that's the guy we're going to vote for. It's got to have some term limits. Now, they're never going to vote themselves in for term limits. Never. It's never going to happen. And government's gotten so big, and like I said earlier, with big government comes big corruption. And our government is so huge now that we can't even, root out all the corruption. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So what can we do about it? Well, obviously term limits is one thing that needs to be done. We got to have term limits. Okay, well, how's that going to happen? Congress will never vote to amend the Constitution to put term limits on themselves. They're not going to do it. That's taking power away from them, and that's what they want, power. It's all about power. They are not going to vote themselves out of power. It's never going to happen. Okay, so I mean, when the framers of the Constitution put it together, they made Article 5, which was the article that deals with making amendments. As they realized that things could change, times can change, and from time to time, amendments needed to be made to the Constitution, and they made a framework for that. And Congress has has the power to make some amendments. What a lot of people don't know is the states have that power also. So the states, not Congress and not your congressman, okay, but the states themselves can call for what's called a convention of states. A convention of states you elect delegates to go to the convention of states to propose amendments to the Constitution. Amendments that congressmen won't put in. Amendments just like what I said, to limit their power, because they have become creatures of power. That's all they want. That's all they crave. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They want their power. And they will do nothing. There's nothing they won't do, I should say, to gain it. We've seen that in the recent election. Hillary Clinton, there's nothing she wouldn't have done to gain that power. And it's no different at the Senate level. It's no different at the representative level. It's no different. It's no different on the state level, actually. I mean, it's power, and if we don't do something to limit their power, we're gonna lose our freedom slowly. Okay. Now, this Convention of States, Mark Levin, he preaches for it, and he's right. We need to do it. Now, how do you do it? Well, 34 states have to sign on. Two-thirds of the states, 34 states have to sign on for a Convention of States. So you get 2/3 of the states to agree to it, to have a Convention of States. And then for any amendments that they may want to make, for instance, maybe they want to add a term limit amendment to the Constitution for senators, for representatives. It takes 38 states to agree. And you can also limit their powers of what they control. Like right now the big kick is they want to control healthcare. They want to completely control healthcare. That's what Obamacare was about. They want to go to a single payer system to control healthcare completely. They want to tell you how to, what you're going to pay, what you can have done, when you can have it done. They want to control it. They already control a large portion of the education system. They already control a large portion of a lot of things that we've given them control of that we shouldn't. The states have gradually lost their powers to the federal government. This is not what the founders envisioned. This is not what the founders envisioned. So we need to go to this convention of states. It needs to happen. Uh, and there's been I think there's 20 some states that have signed on for a convention of states, but and there's a website you can go research it. I looked through it. Convention of States, maybe it's conventionofstates.com. But if you Google Convention of States, you'll see several websites discussing it. But it's something that's got to be done because government, we haven't had a balanced budget in 4 times in the last 50 years. 4 times in the last 50 years we've had a balanced budget. 4 times. Now, you and I, we can't live our lives like that. I can't balance a budget, my home budget, and say I'm going to spend, I'm going to spend $50,000 a year. Well, if I only make $40,000 a year, can't do it. Okay, well, basically that's what they're doing. During the Obama term, 4 out of the 8 years, the budget had a $1 trillion deficit. $1 trillion. I mean, who can live like that? You got to live within your means. I mean, my goodness. I mean, you can go, 1 year maybe overspend, but then you got to make it up the following year, as a normal person. But the government, what do they do whenever they overspend? They just print more money. It's completely and utterly out of control. Government's gotten too big. I don't know how you're going to reconcile a $20 trillion debt, national debt, and it goes up every single year, more and more and more. It went from almost 10 trillion during the Obama years to 20 trillion. He doubled it. George Bush, before Obama, it's not all just Democrats. I mean, the Republicans have a spending problem too. It's not a tax problem. It's not a we don't tax enough. It's a spending problem. You have to curb spending. You can't keep spending more than you make. And you can only bleed a turnip so much. You can only suck so much blood out of it, and it goes bone dry. Okay, $20 trillion. I mean, Trump has the economy booming again. I mean, starting to. I mean, GDP is up last 2 quarters over 3%. And they're looking at another 3% possibly in this last quarter. Which is something that during the Obama years they said could never be done again. Never. It's never going to happen. The new normal is 1 or 2% growth a year. You're never going to reach 3 again. It's just not going to happen. Well, that's not true. I mean, Obama choked the living life out of the economy with all his regulations. Trump ain't done nothing spectacular other than eliminate the regulations that Obama threw in there that choked the whole economy. That choked the economy into a very, very slow moving train. All he did was eliminate those. I mean, he just eliminated those regulations, and businesses started to gain confidence again. They start spending and start producing. This tax cut that they're trying to pass, that's going to spur economic growth, I guess. I mean, I'm no economic. Obviously, I'm no economic wizard, but the everything I read, it happened during the Reagan years. It happened during John F. Kennedy. When the tax rate lowers, the economy booms. Because they'll invest money. During the Reagan years, when he lowered the corporate tax rate, the economy boomed, and they started investing and started investing in different types of technology. And what did you get? You got quite a bit of a economic boost, and which led to an even bigger one in the 90s when all these tech giants, internet type of the economy from the internet boom came about. Now, do you think if they hadn't invested in that kind of research that we would have ever got there in the 90s? I don't know, you know. So, I mean, if you want to invest in the future, rich people, rich companies, they're the ones that are going to invest in it. Now, if you don't cut their taxes, they're not going to invest. I mean, because they don't want to take that chance. But if you give them an opportunity to take that chance, they'll do it. And your economy will boom because of it. That's just my opinion. But, I mean, like I said, I'm no economic genius, but, it seems to make sense. It's worked every time they've done it. It worked, like I said, with Reagan. It worked with John F. Kennedy. So, I mean, there's no reason to believe that it won't work this time. But anyway, the Convention of States, and that's basically what I decided this topic would be for this week, needs to happen. We need a Convention of States. We need to rein in the overreaching power of federal government. They've overreached so far in Obama. During the Obama administration, he severely overreached, and if we don't take back what rightfully belongs to the states, we're going to end up in some kind of a government we don't recognize. It's going to be a federal way or no way. I mean, the states will have no say. So, if you agree with me, let me know. If you don't, let me know. Send me a text, send me a Facebook message. Let me know. A Convention of States, I think, is the way to go when you got all this corruption, secret funds to pay out sexual harassment suits in government. I mean, it's time. It's time, people. We need to take back the power that was afforded to the states when the Constitution was written. The federal government has gotten too powerful and too overreaching. That's my 2 cents for this week. And I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And hopefully we'll get some tax relief here in the next month. And maybe there'll be a even brighter 2018. Talk to you later.